Hey everyone, Marilynn Hughes of the Out of Body Travel Foundation. We are back with John Hickton and Philip Segay in the south of France. We're talking about their book, The Man in the Cave. Again, just a reminder to subscribe to our channel. It keeps us searchable around the world, and consider joining and becoming a member, because that helps us to keep our resources free to everyone in the world. And so we're continuing on from our first episode, and I wanted to have John and Philippe share with you the book cover they have with them now of The Man in the Cave. They have both the French and English version here. And there we go. So there is the book, A Journey of Self-Awareness. And on the back, we have a picture of the cave that we're talking about. Let's see if we can get that in the
Can we get
screen
that?
here. So it's a nice, simple cave. And this is where all the messages are being received. And so when we left off, John, you were talking about how a lot of what's happened is that it's changed. You become more basically patient, forgiving people, and it's made it easier to kind of just kind of relax a little bit about things.
It's made us more aware of certain situations based on the way people react. I mean, the man in the cave, I sort of know, I sort of know a lot of this stuff from whence I have memories. But what the man in the cave does with me is he makes it so simple to understand. So it's a little bit like you sort of know within lots of things, but your life is so fast and so crazy, and mine has been, that you don't actually recall them and accept them. You just let them go away because you're so crazy on making money, raising a family, doing all the things you have to do, building businesses, whatever you do. What the man in the cave has done for me is he simplified it and put it into words and made it easy for me to understand. And just for example, he points out that we're all very complicated creatures, and we've all got so many stresses and so many things going on in our lives that if you just stop for a second and analyze what you are, is enough for you to get through life more easily. And if you imagine every single individual personality is highly complex, with so many energies, so many frequencies, so many things going on, and they're interacting with other people, creating more frequencies, more energies, more emotions, and ultimately the ability to be able to separate them, and more importantly to understand how you fit in with that. And often we get angry about certain things on the basis that we take it personally. It's not personal at all, because everybody is going through total frantic emotional situations within their own lives, and they can't decipher or separate that from everybody else's emotions that have been thrown at them at the same time. And it's just one great big confusing big mash of emotional frequencies that are going on.
Yeah, we're
And
all
he's
kind of like bumping into each other.
yeah, and they're just going like frantically crazy. I mean, Man in the Cave is much more than that, because he gives you a philosophy for life. He gives you an explanatory as to what life is all about. But ultimately, it's a frequency, it's an emotion. We're a pure form of energy. We're inside a machine. That's the body, and the basis of it is pretty much what most religions would teach you. But it also says it's very important that it's not a lesson. It's important that it's an experience, which is something I struggled with, because I like to learn loads of things and I like to go out and explore many things. But he's very adamant that it's experience. It's not a lesson, because the data already is within your mind. There is nothing that you don't already know. You just have to remember it. That's all. You chose to. Another thing is that we chose to be here. It was our choice to go through this experience. So it's our responsibility to remember it. and we chose it for a specific reason. And as you go through the book, he explains all of these things, all of them, and it's totally unattached from any. He does use a few times, and I suppose again, communication-wise, I mean, when I first went in originally, I thought, well, if this is real, I'm being very bullshit. He's got to speak French to me because I can't speak French. But then he explains why he can't do that, because apparently the pure form of language is frequency, it's emotion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he really, really, really does not like language because it can be interpreted by the receiver in any way they want to receive it or interpret it. And ultimately, you can't misinterpret an emotion. You can't misinterpret that you feel sad. You can't misinterpret that you feel angry. And of course, when it's expanded in all the levels of frequencies that exist, it's highly complex as well, but it's real. It's a knowing. It's not a thinking, you know, it's a knowing. So ultimately, yeah, there's lots and lots of things in there that make absolute sense to me as a
what you just said there, I think is really important, because so many spiritual teachings go back to, and this what you said that's so important that stands out to me is it's not a lesson, it's an experience. Is because so many people will focus on, well, I'm here to learn, I have to learn this, I have to learn that. And when you actually just think about that for a minute, that you go from lesson to experience, it really does completely transform what you're doing. It changes the complete conceptual procedure of what you're doing. And you're literally going from being present to you're becoming present in that moment, rather than being like a stress-filled rat race kind of thing of, I got a lesson to learn, I've got a lesson to learn, another lesson, and all of a sudden, no, I need to experience this, because there is something vibrationally, something like you just expressed so well, emotionally, something that I will embody, whether it's a feeling, whether it's energy, vibration, frequency, that I will then understand that the experience will bring to me. And all of a sudden, the pressure is released of, the idea of lesson versus experience. So I see that statement alone as being very invaluable and very helpful for a lot of people who can get caught up in the idea of lessons, and all of a sudden, just let that one go and grab a hold of the experience of our life here. And then that one thing, can make a complete transformation in your view walking forward.
Absolutely.
To me, that's what really stood out when you were talking about that.
And there's another one that's very similar to that. In our conditioned life, he often refers to life as being conditioned, or all lives being conditioned, all past lives being conditioned, and we carry them with us. And we are conditioned to do. So we have to do something. We have to create a business. We have to have a family. We have to do this. We have to do that. And he always says there is nothing to do. The only thing you have to do is become aware of what you are. That's all you have to do. There is nothing to do in terms of I have to do this. I have to, go create a family, go make lots of money, do this. I mean, it's fascinating because if you look back at the religious teachings, the most important thing is to form a relationship with God. For me, it's absolutely important. And by not doing anything other than understanding self and understanding the source, which is understanding God, the most important thing which he stresses is understand yourself. And I think Jesus said many times in the Christian religion, know thyself and you will know. And when you know yourself, you know everybody else, because we're the same. And ultimately, this comes over also many, many times during the teachings. Know thyself and you will know. Because you will know, because everybody is the same as you, but not in the respect you think in a conditioned way, in your conditioned life, but in respect of your soul, your consciousness.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, you know? And he says this many, many times during the sessions. And we've analysed and analysed and analysed. We don't do so much analysing anymore because we sort of, he said many times to us, I will say the same thing in a different way until you understand it. And he does that. He does that. And what a good teacher. And he keeps repeating it, but it's in a different way. And he said this loads of times, and we just sit there listening, going, wow, you know, it's incredible.
And he said many times, no hierarchy. No hierarchy.
Oh, no hierarchy. No hierarchy, because obviously we're brought up in a conditioned life where we have to say, well, he's the boss and you're here and you're there. There's no hierarchy. There's no hierarchy between the soul, between the consciousness. You know, he talks about spheres. He talks about position within the sphere. He talks about many things which I didn't know until I researched after, were all to do with quantum physics. And he talks about he talks about infinity, he talks about one moment, he talks and talks and talks about lots of things. But he often says it's not necessary for you to understand these things because you're not a physicist, you're not a mathematician. Right. It's more simplistic than that. And it really is more simplistic than that. But me being me, from a technological background, if somebody said to me, I want to understand it. So I do a little bit of research on that side of things, but there is no necessity to understand it, really. It's fascinating. It really is a fascinating journey, you know, from the man in the cave.
But when you said,
go ahead.
The only thing we have to do is to become aware. It doesn't mean that we don't have to live a normal life. No. We must live normally, but being aware in the same time
of what we are,
we are, and about the emotions we emit constantly, and the emotion we are constantly receiving from other people. And that's not easy.
And well, that's so Zen, actually, too. You know, I mean, it reminds me of the Zen koan, which is, you know, says it's the story of the Zen master who says, so before a man achieves enlightenment, what does he do? He goes out and he gathers wood and chops wood and gathers, you know, gets water. And it's like, so what does he do after enlightenment? Well, he goes out and he gathers wood and he chops wood and he gets water. And but there is a difference. There's a change, and it has to do with he does so awarely. There's a difference in what has changed between when he before he attained enlightenment and after he attained enlightenment, because when that Zen master now is, you know, cutting the wood in an enlightened state, he does so with pure awareness, pure presence. There is a very different experience taking place. You know, we go back to experiencing life, you know, rather than the little lessons in it. There's a very different experience taking place now that he has achieved that enlightenment. And just as what you're being told in this experience of achieving awareness, and, you know, you may still be going out to work, you may be still taking care of your children or your grandchildren and all those things, but yet you do so in a very different way and in a very different state of, from which, different eyes through which you do so.
Definitely. And again, you know, it's been a life-changing experience for both of us, and we shouldn't really be doing this together because we're from completely different walks of life, and it's only a recent thing within the last couple of years, you know.
And what
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Philippe. So we know a little bit about John's background.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? What was your walk of life?
I come from Bordeaux.
From
Bordeaux. Bordeaux
Boulder?
is about to
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux
Is
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
The universe of wine. It's one of the
Yes.
biggest wine growers in the world.
And what I have to,
Your
I
business,
say,
your life. He's a professional tennis coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
but I was so influenced by the Seth teachings, I decided to stop working to experience so many ideas coming from Seth and Jane Roberts.
Uh-huh.
I did many experiences with my life. I wanted to make my life an experience, a living experience. So I think that's why I'm here today.
So how do you think your relationship with each other? I mean, you guys think you'll be friends forever now?
Said in the cave that it's not. We've been doing this job for many lives. It's not the
okay.
And it's not the only the first life.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And we meet in the cave.
Yes.
We did this in other lives.
Yes.
So we are more than friends. We are, I don't know what we are.
We ask that question.
You know, you definitely have a soul alliance, and obviously, I mean, you know, there's different kinds of soulmates of all kinds, you know what I mean, where we have friendships that go across the ages, and you know, we have relationships like this where we work together in a spiritual way across the ages. And it sounds like you guys have this spiritual synergy that has happened many times before.
He said that in the cave. He said that already.
We are opposite energies.
We are opposite.
Completely opposite.
I've been quite aggressive in my life in business. I'm also a total joker all the time. So I like to make fun, and I have done historically. It probably nicely humored, but it's also can be quite cutting sometimes. Maybe it's an English thing, I don't know, but and Philip is a very gentle soul. He's he's a lovely guy, you know. He wouldn't want to offend anybody or hurt their emotions or anything like that, and I'm quite outspoken, so we're complete opposites. But he said that also.
Yeah, and it's because we are so opposite that we create this special kind of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been incredibly interesting.
But we understand each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. In every aspect you can imagine, it's possible we understand each other. So
it's like you're touching into that soul connection that goes across the line of time and space, so that you've got this understanding of each other that is beyond this 2 or 3 years that you've known each other now, right?
Yeah, it's quite amazing, it really is.
And John is the only person I can speak with about so many subjects, because in my surroundings, they just think I'm crazy.
That's too bad. That's too bad. You know, one thing that does definitely happen, and a lot of people at the Out of Body Travel Foundation find this over time, is, you know, when you first have an awakening spiritually, you do feel kind of, out of sorts, and you find it hard because you have a lot of people around you who may not understand what's happening to you, and they oftentimes do think it's nutty or whatever. But over time, you do draw to you other people who are going through similar things and of like mind, and you do find yourself surrounded by plenty of people who do understand what you're going through and who are very interested. And over time, you find that you're not alone at all. There's a lot of people out there who are on a spiritual journey who want to share and be in community.
There's more now, I think, at this moment, Marilynn. The world is definitely changing at the moment. There's a massive change, a massive shift. I'm probably telling you something you already know anyway. Well, I'm sure I am. There's a massive awakening from everywhere. I'm grateful that you've got the time to talk to us, because I can't imagine with your history that you've even got any time at the moment, because everybody's flame is starting to alight within, and even if they don't know it, they're asking lots of questions. And we're in this period now where it's happening. So even with the people I would call asleep, they're awake, because they know inside something's happening. They don't know how to express it or to say it, but they know. And of course, fear is the biggest element within them. So they're very fearful. And when they're fearful, they're going to want to go out there and try and alleviate the fear. So they want to know the answer to the question. And ultimately, I think people who are awakening, I think it's great, by the way. I think it's very positive what's going on at the moment, even though there's a lot of fallout and there's a lot of damage and there's a lot of destruction. It's good because it's changing the energy of the world, and the energy needs to be changed. He says it needs to be rebalanced. He says it needs to be 50-50 again, and at the moment it's probably about 90-10. But a rebalance is probably absolutely necessary, I think, at the moment. So
yeah, and that's something that's been, we're trying to do and have been working on, ironically, in the mystical spheres, and it's been a little tough because it's not as easily achieved as it might seem, but yeah, that's one thing that's being attempted, and trying to create a little bit more of a balance between the physical and the spiritual within the heart of humanity, so that people can become more balanced and be a little more open to that spiritual side. Because as you guys can see from this experience that you've had, that when we allow the spiritual side to participate in our life on earth, it can completely transform and change the direction of our life in such ways that we can't even, sometimes even put into words. It's hard to put it into words, isn't it? And, and that's why it's really good that you guys have, recorded and logged and put down in words these sessions and stuff, so that other people who want to kind of experience the words that were given to you and can go through and experience that transformation too, can do that. And that's a really great gift. And so it's a great thing that you've done that, because it is really hard to encapsulate it, because every one of those sessions contains an embodiment of frequency, an energy, and each session, alters you just a tiny little bit. And then each session builds on itself, and then by the time you are where you are today, 60 sessions later, it's very hard to say, well, what happened? And it's like, gosh, I don't know how to put it. I mean? It's really hard to explain.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But that's what happens. And so it's really good. Ironically, I think you guys chose the better path, to just keep it pure and not edit it down. And because you literally have created it where other people can go through exactly as you went through it.
I totally. We did have an offer from a publisher in London, under the guise of self-help type of deal, but they wanted to change things, and we didn't want to change any. It was very important that we kept it raw, you know, that we kept it real as to the exact words that are said. Even sometimes he repeats something, but we needed to put even the repeat in there, you know, in the word. We needed the word for word version, and we couldn't. It wasn't for us to change anything, was it? It was not our choice, really. So yeah, you're absolutely correct. And you know, we put it out there, so it's out there, you know.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys. It's nice that we finally had a chance to meet face to face like this and talk.
It is. It's fantastic. It's lovely to meet you. You know,
lovely to meet both of you as well. And yeah, and I look forward to reading it now that it's actually in print and I can read it. So
yeah. It's on Apple. It's on Philip knows what it's on. Philip's done a lot of the publishing side of it. So
the English version is on Amazon.
It's on Amazon America, Amazon UK, Amazon, all the English-speaking Amazon sites, and it's on Apple ebooks, and it's on big French. It's on lots of French ones,
and in French on all the main platforms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we haven't promoted it at all in any way, shape. We've just launched it. So
yeah, we got it right at the big launch point. So the meeting is going to end. So why don't we go ahead and end the live stream? But if you don't mind, we'll end the recording, and I'll say goodbye to everyone else, and I'll meet you guys back in the meeting room so we can wrap up without the film.
Okay.
And so everyone, thank you for joining us. This has been great. John and Philippe, and their book again is The Man in the Cave. Again, subscribe to the channel and join and become a member if you can at the Out of Body Travel Foundation, and we'll see you on the next live.